Imagine looking up at the night sky and seeing not one moon, but two. One glowing softly in the east, the other hanging slightly lower, chasing its twin like a cosmic game of tag. Sounds beautiful, right? Well, hold on, because if the Earth really had two moons, it wouldn't just make the sky prettier. It would completely change everything, from the tides and weather to the way life evolved on this planet. Let's explore what would actually happen if the Earth had a second moon. First of all, let's get one thing straight. The moon we have right now is already doing a ton of work. It's not just sitting there looking pretty for Instagram photos. The moon controls our tides. When it pulls on the Earth's oceans, it creates the rhythmic rise and fall we call high tide and low tide. Without it, the seas would be weirdly still. No waves, no rhythm, just a giant puddle planet. Now imagine another moon with its own gravitational pull joining the mix. Two moons pulling on the same oceans, sometimes in sync, sometimes in opposite directions. Result? Absolute tidal chaos. There would be days when the tides would rise twice as high as normal, flooding coastal cities. And other days, the two moons' gravity would cancel each other out, leaving barely any tides at all. Beaches would become unpredictable, fishermen would cry, and anyone living near the coast would start building houses on very tall stilts. But wait, the tides are just the beginning. The moon also helps stabilize the Earth's tilt. Right now, our planet tilts at about 23.5 degrees, which gives us our seasons. Without the moon's gravitational influence, Earth would wobble like a drunk spinning top. Summers would turn into winters, winters into something unlivable, and global climates would swing wildly every few thousand years. So if we add another moon, that delicate balance gets even trickier. If the new moon is too small or too far, no big deal. But if it's even half the size of our current one, things start to go wild. The gravitational tug-of-war between two moons could make Earth's tilt shift unpredictably. Imagine having Christmas in June and snow in Bangkok. Okay, maybe not snow, but close enough. Basically, this season would get weird. Now let's talk about the sky, because, let's be honest, that's the fun part. With two moons, the night would never truly be dark. Depending on their positions, there could be two bright moons lighting the sky like double spotlights. Romantic, maybe, but terrible for astronomy. Stargazing? Forget it. Your telescope would constantly have to deal with double glare. And night animals, the owls, the bats, all those creatures that depend on darkness would be very, very confused. Wolves howling at the moon? They'd have to pick one. Okay, but what about the new moon itself? Where would it come from? There are two ways this could happen. One, the Earth captures a stray moon-sized rock passing by, kind of like how Jupiter collects random space debris. Or two, the second moon forms at the same time as Earth, born from the same collision that created the moon we already have. Either way, the orbits would have to be perfectly balanced. Otherwise, collision. And when two moons collide, it's not going to be pretty. We're talking billions of tons of rock crashing together, creating a debris field so massive that it could rain fire across the planet for months. That's not just, oh no, pretty meteor shower. That's goodbye civilization. So for our imaginary world, let's assume both moons play nice and stay in orbit. If that's the case, life on Earth would have evolved differently from day one. For starters, the tides, stronger and more complex, might have actually accelerated evolution in the oceans. Stronger tides mean more coastal mixing, more nutrients, and maybe even faster development of life forms moving from water to land. The days would also look different. Two moons would create a constantly changing pattern of light and shadow across the planet. Poets would have a field day writing about the twin moons of love or the double night. But humans might also evolve differently because of that constant brightness. We'd probably have thicker eyelids or become slightly nocturnal just to escape the double glare. And think about how cultures would change. Imagine ancient civilizations building calendars, myths, and gods, not around one moon, but two. Lunar festivals would be insane.
And can you imagine the arguments? Tonight's moon festival is for Luna. No, it's for Selene. Fine, we'll celebrate both. But let's step back to the science again. Two moons mean two gravitational forces acting on Earth, not just the oceans, but the planet itself. Over millions of years, this could cause tiny shifts in tectonic plates, more frequent earthquakes, more volcanic activity. Basically, the planet's crust would always be under pressure, pulled in multiple directions. Even the day length could change. The moon's gravity already slows the Earth's rotation by about 2 milliseconds per century. With another moon, that slowdown could double. Days would gradually get longer, maybe not by much, but enough that your great-great-grandkids might have slightly longer workdays. But okay, let's not be all doom and gloom. Having two moons would also make the sky breathtaking. Think of sunsets with two glowing moons rising over the horizon, one golden, one silver. Sometimes they'd eclipse each other, creating wild light shows in the atmosphere. Artists and photographers would lose their minds. There'd be moon tourism, where people travel to see both moons align in the perfect spot. And at least one pop song would definitely be called Two Moons and You. Now, for fun, let's imagine if one of the moons was closer than the other. That one would move faster across the sky, appearing larger. It might rise and set several times a night, while the other stayed nearly still. Some nights, they'd both appear together, casting two shadows from every object on Earth. You'd see your own shadow twice, one faint, one sharp. Streetlights, not needed anymore. But good luck sleeping. There's also another side to this story: space exploration. Two moons mean two targets for astronauts. One could become a mining hub, full of resources like helium-3 for fusion energy. The other could serve as a permanent base for interplanetary travel, like a cosmic pit stop before heading to Mars. And with two moons, the night sky would always remind us that Earth is part of something bigger, a system that's still changing, still dancing in space. So, could the Earth ever really have two moons? Well, technically, it already has. From time to time, small asteroids get caught in Earth's orbit for a few months or years before flying away again. Astronomers call them mini-moons, but they're tiny, like cosmic tourists who never stay long enough to unpack. But having two permanent moons, though, that's astronomically unlikely. Gravity just doesn't like to share. Still, it's one of those what-if questions that make us realize how fragile and perfectly balanced our world is. So next time you look up at the night sky, imagine another moon hanging there beside the first. Would we still call it the moon? Or would we start saying, "Did you see the moons tonight?" Maybe life wouldn't survive at all. Or maybe it would just be different. Different oceans, different skies, different stories told around campfires. That's the beauty of wondering. It reminds us how lucky we are that our one moon works so perfectly. Now here's the real question. If you could add a second moon to Earth, would you? And what would you name it? Tell me in the comments. I'm dying to know which one you'd pick. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because somewhere out there, another planet does have two moons. And maybe, just maybe, they're watching us right now.